My name is Patrick and this is Everyday Tech. Everyday Tech for everyday people. This video is part of my series called Not So Everyday Tech. About 3 years ago, I did a video called my Notion WordPress plugin. For various reasons, I had to abandon that project, but this is the reboot. Now, if you're not new to Notion and you just want to see a demo of this plugin, go ahead and skip to the time code of the demo. If you're new to Notion, Notion is an all-in-one productivity application. Now, if you want to see more videos, I've done a number of videos, so go ahead and check out my Notion playlist. Here's a brief history of what happened to the plugin before. I got to a certain point where I actually did submit it to the WordPress plugin directory, but I didn't code it in a way where I used a lot of the built-in WordPress functions. I got a lot of feedback from the WordPress plugin team, who were very helpful on how to modify my code and how to get it approved. Well, I got very busy shortly after that, and there was a lot of interest in the plugin from a lot of the viewers and a lot of different people, but I just wasn't able to get back into the project. I tried a few times here and there. Well, a few years later, I have a little bit more time, a little bit more skills, and a lot more motivation to get this plugin all the way to being approved in the directory. I started the code from scratch. The code is a lot cleaner. The interface is a lot cleaner as well. And I'm using a lot more WordPress functions. And that's important for security's sake and for compatibility's sake as well. So let's get into the demo right now, and then I'll talk about where we're going with this plugin as well. The first thing we want to do is create our integration with our Notion database that can be used with our WordPress plugin. So you want to go to developers.notion.com. I'm already logged in here, so this might have you log in if you're not logged in. View my integrations. And you may have existing integrations. You can use an existing one, or you can go to a new integration, and you want to put the name of the integration here. You want to do the workspace, and you want to make it internal. Once you hit save, you'll be given a secret token that will be used in our Notion WordPress plugin later on. Then in our Notion database, just create a very simple Notion database. If you don't know how to do that, go ahead and check out my Getting Started with Notion. But you just want to create a very simple database. We don't need extra fields. And these are individual pages that will show up in our WordPress plugin. And this will become more apparent once we get into the plugin itself. And then what we want to do is go to the 3 dots and go to Connections and Connect to, and you want to search for the name of that integration that you just connected or just created. I already had something called PHP Websites. I also have another one to Zapier, but we'll get into that in another video. This used to be under Share when I did this 3 years ago. Now it's under Connections, under the 3 dots there. Once we have this, now we're ready to go. Next, we want to grab the plugin itself. Since this is still in development and not in the WordPress plugin directory, you're going to have to go to my GitHub page to grab the plugin. I'll leave a link in the description below. So you can either clone the plugin itself via Git, or you can just download the zip. Next, we want to install the plugin into our WordPress website. I have a local install of WordPress on my machine here, and I've already had the plugin installed. But if you cloned the plugin, make sure you put it into the plugins directory. Or if you downloaded the zip, you can go ahead and add a new plugin, and then you can go ahead and upload the plugin zip file there. The first thing we want to do after installing our plugin and activating it is go to our settings page. In the settings page, we want to paste our Notion API key. This is the API key or secret code we get when we create our integrations. Go ahead and copy and paste that in. And then you want to copy and paste the database URL. This is the entire URL of our database and not just the ID. So if we go into our Notion database page here, go to the 3 dots, and you can go ahead and copy the link. There are keyboard shortcuts. For example, on Mac, it's just Command L. And then we want to go ahead and copy and paste that in there and go hit Save Changes. After we save our settings, we're going to go into the main page of our plugin here. And as you can see, it says no active pages found. Even though we do have 2 pages in our Notion database here. The reason is our plugin hasn't actually gone out to Notion to pull in the content. So what we're going to do is say refresh all content here. After this runs, you're going to see our 2 Notion pages show up on our list here. And here we have my first page, and this is another page. These are the 2 pages corresponding to these 2 entries in our database here. Now, what's happening behind the scenes is our plugin is reaching out to Notion via the API, grabbing all the pages that in our database, looking at the contents of those pages or entries, bringing it into a local database, looking at all the elements, translating all the HTML elements so we can use in our WordPress site. So basically, the content is being locally cached in a local database with our WordPress install. Now, if you want to refresh all the content all at once, you can go ahead and hit refresh all content. As you can see, that did take a little bit of time, or you can refresh the individual pages. Later on, I'll talk about future plans to automatically sync our plugin with our Notion database, and there's a few ways to do that. Now that we've pulled in the content from Notion into our WordPress site, we can use this in a post or a page via shortcode. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this page here. This is another page. I'm going to add a new page. I've already had this open. I'm going to call this new page. Go ahead and create a shortcode. Paste that. I'm going to change the template here to say full width. Go ahead, hit publish. And once we view our page, you'll see the content is in here. Let's look at this page in Notion. This is another page. And you can see that this is corresponding to this page here. And then to show you what happens when we update our content in Notion, let's go ahead and add another line here. And as I mentioned before, we don't automatically sync our database with our WordPress plugin yet, so we have to manually update it. I'm going to go ahead and say refresh this individual page, and it refreshes just that individual page first. And then if we go to our page here, we're going to hit refresh, and we have yet another line. So as you can see, this plugin supports a number of Notion elements. Of course, paragraphs, bullet points, bold, italic, underline. There's different elements that I am supporting and that I continue to develop. If you want to see everything that it supports so far, you can go to this Notion page. I'll link in the description below, but you can see the different things that it does support. For example, links, headers, the bold text, bullet items, numbered items, toggle content, and even tables. This page is actually pulling from that same database here. If I go into my first page, this shows all the different elements on here. And so everything on here is being supported in Notion right now. But I do have plans for other elements coming soon, and stay tuned for that. The last thing I'll point out is this styles page. And this is where we can create custom styles for all the elements coming in from Notion. This classes tab here allows us to add classes to each HTML element coming in from Notion. Now, this is going to probably be different by the time this video comes out because I'm going to add all the different HTML elements that I do support from Notion. Then, of course, we can create our custom CSS. But where is this important, or where is this useful? So let's go to our local install. And here I have that one page where it shows all the different elements I support. If we go down here, the Notion tables here has no styles here. This particular template that I'm using on my local install uses Bootstrap. So I'm going to go into the styles page, put in some Bootstrap classes here, go ahead and save changes. Now this applies to the Notion content as the Notion content is being brought in or refreshed. So I'm going to go ahead and go and refresh the page here. Now, as we go into our Notion page here, I'm going to go ahead and refresh. And now you can see the Notion styles or Bootstrap styles have been applied to our table elements here. So depending on what type of framework you're using, or if you have custom classes, you can go ahead and customize all the elements coming in from Notion to your own needs. So what's next for this plugin? As you can see, the plugin is in a very usable state, but there's always room for improvement and also support for more Notion elements. So Some of the big elements that I don't currently support right now, the first one is images, where if you put an image in your Notion page, you're gonna be able to, through the plugin, pull in that image and put it into your WordPress gallery as well. The other thing is Notion layouts. I don't know if you know, in a Notion page, you can drag and drop elements to make them side by side to do different layouts. So I'm going to support that as well. So those are the two big things that are coming as far as support for elements are concerned. The other big thing is how to sync your data automatically with your WordPress site. So right now, everything, as you can see, is refreshed manually, either by individual page or by the entire database. Now, the reason why we do this is it brings in the data into your local database, and because I don't want to just do an API call every time someone comes to visit your site. First of all, this is very slow, and you'll reach your API limit calls very quickly, especially if you have a bigger site. So I'm going to be doing different things on how to sync it up automatically if you want, or have third-party integrations such as Zapier and Make that Notion already has. I already have a proof of concept that I'll share later with some webhooks that I've created with this plugin. And then, of course, I'm always trying to do a balance between use this out of the box or be able to have full control of the content as much as possible. So stay tuned for that. Go ahead and check out the project and follow it on my GitHub page. I will be doing regular updates. I will be taking you through the whole process of trying to get this plugin approved on the WordPress directory as well. I typically do tech gadget reviews, but occasionally I like to do things like WordPress plugins as well. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Consider hitting that subscribe button. Until the next one, see ya.